What's up, guys? The red light is on. Dave Van Auken, Fight Bananas, joining me once again. Emilee King. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Last time we talked was before March, kind of the March show for Icon Fighting Federation. So before we get into fighting stuff, how are you doing personally and everything of that nature in the last 5-6 months?
Uh, Personally, I feel as always very blessed. Fortunate to get to train and do what I love every day. I'm coming in hot and sweaty, straight out of a workout. So forgive the sweat. Glad it's not smell-o-vision. But working hard and loving it. So I hear you got a little one heading off to school and all that.
We have multiple little ones. We have 4 kids under our household. My oldest son, Colin, he's 8, went to the 3rd grade. Dylan, his first day VPK, and we really love our daycare around, so he's doing that. And then we have twin girls that are 19, 20 months old. So we got a busy household.
Chaos, but you love it, right?
Yes, it is. We try to say control chaos. It is chaotic at all times, but we just try to do the best we can and then give them a lot of Skittles. It works every time, you know?
It's like the cage, you get in there, control chaos best you can, and get out.
Very true, very true. And just try to stay clean. That's all we do is just try to stay clean the best we can. All right, let's get into it. Definitely VFC87, September 3rd. Very cool fight. Versus Danielle Hindley, who's been around 4-2. Just kind of how did this come to be, and just kind of take us where Valor got you.
Well, I started my MMA career with Valor back before it was Valor Fighting Challenge. It was just Valor Fight League, and I've fought a lot with them. They've been very good to me. It's kind of the local promotion here in Knoxville. It's local, but it's good. They put on good fights. Obviously, good match makes between Tim Loy and Eric Turner and all that. So I'm excited to be back in Knoxville fighting. I know I travel a lot for fights. Like you said, Icon was down in Biloxi, Mississippi, and fought everywhere from the Podunkie, Virginia to the LA Forum and kind of anywhere in between. So whenever I get to fight local, I think it's kind of a treat. So I very much appreciate Valor for having me out again and giving me a chance to showcase my skill set and things that I've been working on. And women MMA in general, I think the headliner for this fight is one of my teammates, Taylor Turner. And she's been doing this sport longer than any other female that I personally know. So I'm looking forward to seeing Taylor's process as well. So overall, just Valor's great. It's a great platform. They've put people in Bellator, UFC, and name it, and they've done it. They've been around for a while. So it's a great promotion. Looking forward to being back with them.
Very cool. You said a couple things there, and I kind of want to go left and right, so I'll go right first. You said about travel, and I'm so intrigued. Most of the fighters I talked to said they love using mixed martial arts as a way to travel, not even just here in America, but of course abroad. I talked to Elvin Espinoza, who just fought for the PFL, and he went out there to Mexico for Icon Fighting Federation, actually right after your shows, I think. And he said he would have never went there. Like he loved it there. It was something new and different. And it's just kind of speak on about how you do. First and foremost, you love to travel?
I do. Actually, it's not the main reason why I fight, but it's definitely one of the bigger reasons that I fight. Every fighter has to have their why in terms of why they want to go get locked in a cage with another person and fight them. Mine's always been, I love to travel. Love it, love it, love it. I've traveled with nursing. I've traveled with martial arts before this. I think when I was 13, my parents let me go to South Korea because I won a Taekwondo tournament. Like I look back on that, I was like, what were you thinking? I was 13 and you let me travel with a bunch of strangers in a foreign country where no one spoke English, or they did speak English, but it was very broken and I didn't know any of the language. So my parents have always been ambassadors of that adventure, I guess to say. But yeah, I love to travel. Any excuse to try new things, be around new people, see new cultures. I'll take it. I love home. I love East Tennessee. I'm an Appalachian girl by heart, but I think when you travel and you see how other people live, it makes you appreciate what you have, and it also makes you respect other cultures. So, and that's a lot of what martial arts is respecting others no matter what. So
very, very true. Very true. Love it. That's crazy. South Korea. Wow. Like I'm weird that we have a Wawa gas station and serves great food actually there. And my son sometimes want to go there. I'm like, no, I'm driving you there. Like you're not going down the block to Wawa without me. So that's wild. And then, so you mentioned Valor, how Bellator fighters and UFC fighters, and that's another thing I talked about because around that Dean Tool Circle Icon Fighting Federation, literally 9 fighters have signed to UFC, PFL, different platforms, and they only had 6-7 shows. It's amazing how much they've done. The PFL wasn't around when you were kind of starting your MMA journey, and hey, I'm going to be a pro and I want to get paid. Is there a promotion you're really eyeing, or is it like, hey, Dave, if I can make money and make this my career and do this 24/7, it doesn't matter what major promotion signs me up.
I don't think I'm particularly picky. I think the high names obviously are on everyone's roster. UFC one, Icon even was a great promotion to fight for. PFL, LFA. I'm not pigeonholed to anything. As long as the pay is good and it's worth my time and coach thinks it's a good matchup, my job is to compete to the best of my ability as long as I can, as hard as I can, and ultimately, Lord willing, to glorify God. And if I do that, I'm happy. So whatever platform decides that I'm a good fit and I agree with that, then sure, I'm more than happy to take whoever wants me. I'm ready,
I love it. Us, and especially we've talked before, I'm probably one of the most positive MMA people in the whole industry. So many people are negative, but I do want to, there's one thing, it's almost not funny, but something I do want to bring up. So I look at your topology, I see a ton of green. There's so many wins. Then I see a couple reds, and then I look and see, Shannan Goudry. And then another, I see Shannan Goudry again. And it's funny, too, because I know Shannan, because Shannan fought on Island Fights 50, the first female main event versus Hannah Goldie, who Hannah's a family friend of ours, and she's in the UFC. And even Hannah, after the fight, was like, dude, like, she's tougher than I thought. Like, it's really weird. She almost is like one of the most underrated female fighters out there. Do you want to fight her one more time? Do you want to make that red to a green sooner or later?
Oh, my gosh. So, no. No, third time. We're done. Coach said we're not fighting Shannan again. I always listen to Coach's advice. And, she's local for me. She's in the same state as me. We fought a lot of the same names. She also fought Kayla. I fought Ava. She did too. Yep. So, we have a lot in commons, but I was really just looking to get in the cage, kind of like I need to keep working, I need to keep hustling. And she was willing to take the fight. It was at a 110 fight, and she missed weight. And I do believe that played a role in the fight. I'm not going to say that was the end all be all. I don't like to make excuses. But the weight cut for me was a hard one. It was a full 20-pound cut as a small female. That's a lot. But there's other factors I've talked about in other interviews and stuff. Like there was just a kind of a mental disconnect for me during that fight. But it wasn't a bad fight. If anyone goes back and watches Valor Underground, their first card, we won fight of the night. Two very small females won fight of the night because it was a good fight. And I did the best that I could that fight. So I have nothing to hang my hat on. Obviously, I have lessons to learn. I'm already trying my best to correct them now before I get back in for VFC87. But again, I can't say that that was the end all be all fight. But do I want to fight Shannan again? Probably not. Like 3 times, we're probably done at this point.
Yeah, we're done with that. Okay. Shannan's great fighter. Really, she's probably, I would think, 1 fight away, maybe 2 at the most. I would expect to see her in a Bellator or a short notice PFL fight really, really soon. She's a really good fighter. One thing you said there about the mental state, and it's kind of, I have some notes, and that was one of it about as a fighter, not even the fight itself, but do you know fight week, or do you know when you wake up that day, it's like, wow, like, hey, you never know what can happen in the cage. And we've seen some crazy injuries, especially in 2021, especially in the UFC, and anything can happen. But it's like, hey, I feel really good today, mentally, physically, like it's going to be a good day in the cage out there. Even if I lose, it's going to be good. I'm going to feel good. And is there sometimes it's a fight week, you're like, Dave, I don't got it. Like there's just whatever it is. I've done this 7 times, the weight cut or just the mental state or some BS is happening in life. It happens. We're all human. Do you go through that a daily or fight week? Do you know sometimes like, hey, it's going to be a better night than others?
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
No to that last fight with Shannan, only because I did think that I was in what we would call flow. We do a lot of like sports psychology reading on getting into a flow state. Flow state is like that ultimate spot that I think every competitor, no matter if it's MMA, swimming, whatever, pick a thing, you want to try to get to it because it's like the ultimate high, right? That's not drug induced. And that's my goal. I'm always trying to look for flow, but flow doesn't happen only the day of. It happens the weeks, the months, the days leading up to the event. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen on that. So if I've put in the work, put in the prep, flow happens for me. And sometimes it's harder to find than others. And I think this last go round, it was harder versus my fight before that with Kayla. I think that was probably hands down my most favorite fight to date because I had such a good flow. I was in it the whole time. Like it just felt effortless, even though you're like getting punched, you know, and it was freeing and liberating and all the things. Like pick a good word and that's flow. And that's what that fight was for me. It was just pure, joyous fun. And I think the mental hiccup for me was I had such a high with Kayla that I was expecting my fight with Shannan to be the same. And when it wasn't, it created a little bit of tension in my brain. But it's like Coach said afterwards, he's like, you know, your best one day isn't the same as your best the day before, or even the day after. You know, you go through highs and lows of it all. So realizing that now is helpful, but didn't necessarily help at the time. But that's always what I'm looking for is that flow state. And like I said, it's putting in the work ahead of time, the mental skills, the reading the books, the finding my groove and not letting the grind get to be too bad. Because, I mean, this whole game is 99.9% process and 1% outcome. If you get so hung up on the outcome, you can't live your life by that. But if I enjoy the process leading up to it, then the outcome's fine either way.
Love that. I'm gonna cut that. That's something right there. That's like a great artwork on a wall. You know, like you go into a dentist office and it's gonna say this great saying in it, Emilee King.
I'm just quoting things from my coach and books that I've read. I am not a guru.
Oh, it's yours. It's yours. It's yours.
It's not original.
One also thing I love about you particularly is 3 fights in 2021. It's still a tough time out there. We're over it. We're not getting over it. I'm not going to get any political or any C word I'm going to say at all on this show, but it's just, it's tough times out there. And this is your 3rd fight in 2021. And I'm a big football guy. And there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that are in preseason right now. They're like, hey, should they play? Should they not? And I love fighters that fight. Practice is great. And you keep on developing skills and you get better. You're probably exponentially better from a year ago, or maybe even that fight in Icon in March. You know, you're probably way better. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like getting into that cage and showing it and with the lights on, because that's what you have to do to, you know, keep on winning and making money. What is it having 3 fights in a year? I love that. I'm a big fan of that. Would you even want to try to sneak in another fight at the end of the year? And why do you like to try to stay as busy as you are?
Yes. My goal for this year, I think when I was interviewing with TJ and Pearl before the Icon fight, they're like, what do you want out of fighting? I was like, well, my goal this year was 4 fights. And they just kind of, you know, tilted their head at me like, what? And I was like, yes, I want to fight 4 times a year. And if I can, as long as I'm healthy and the Lord wills it, that's always going to be my goal. I want to stay busy. I want to stay active. So if any of those big promotions we named earlier, if they want an active fighter, kind of, you know, like Angela Hill, she's all the time busy, you know, I want to be that level of like, I want to get after it. I feel kind of on a time crunch, you know, I put in the work, but I got to keep hustling. And I guess it's just where I'm at. I want to make that next big step happen. I know I have to get some wins together. And in order to get wins together, you got to keep fighting. You can't take a step back. You got to keep pressing forward, press. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Absolutely. 2 more fun questions, but before we get into that, that TJ and Pearl, that's another podcast. I don't know who those people are. We might have to talk about them at another time.
Okay.
They're great. TJ DeSantis is awesome on the mic, and it's funny how that was like one of Pearl's first shows, and now she's like exploded on the scene. She's amazing at what she does, all the post fights and all like the shows and the extra rounds. I think Pearl is a gem on the mic on MMA.
Yeah.
So 2 fun questions for you. What fight or two fights that are you really looking forward to that's been announced for the rest of the year? Could be a big UFC main event. It could be, Dave, could be a regional show. It could be a PFL fight. What's a fight or two you're like, oh, Dave, I can't miss it. Doesn't matter. I'm watching popcorn, drinking a Diet Coke, and watching that fight.
I think that's so hard because I think we talked last time. You asked me about favorite fighters and things like that. But I don't watch a lot of fights. I watch my teammates and I watch film that's given to me. With that being said, there's I don't know that I'm allowed to announce it yet, but I know I have a couple teammates coming up in the very, very near future on big shows. So be looking for KMA out there. If it's a KMA fight, I'm excited about it. I'm down for it. And obviously, my other teammates fighting on VFC87 as well. So Taylor Turner's just one of them. We got Dan Bailey, Dre Miley. I mean, I love it. I love seeing my teammates who are putting in the work beside me also get that moment in the spotlight. So anytime my teammates fight, I'm going to be excited about it.
Does it help you or motivate you? It's like, wow, I got 2-3 teammates, the same time limit. We're going to cut weight the same time. We're kind of gearing ourselves up at the same time. Or do you like it kind of sometimes when it's just on you and it's like more attention or more eyes are really helping you for this week or two getting ready?
Okay. So totally an introvert, like 100%. Like I get more nervous doing these type of interviews and being in, I guess, the spotlight. I hate it. It's not my jam. I do it because it's part of the job and I want to be professional about it. But when I have other teammates there that can kind of share the moment with and share the experience with, I love it. I remember being so incredibly grateful that for my first Bellator fight, my husband also got to fight with me. And just having his presence backstage and him warming up with me beside me and all that was just absolutely fantastic. And I love it. Now, he has since said, we do not like fighting on the same card. Like, obviously, Jason, if we could have another teammate that wasn't Jason fighting, that would be ideal. But, I mean, just having someone that familiar in that environment is so helpful. Versus, like, when we went to Connecticut for my Carrie Melendez fight for Bellator, I asked Eric, I was like, is anyone else fighting? Just hoping against hope that like maybe another teammate would get to come with me and be fighting at the same time to kind of share that spotlight. He's like, nope, it's all you. And I was like, okay, Yeah. So but then again, one of my best processes with Kayla, and I traveled by myself for that fight. So it goes back to that flow where you have to be in the moment and you can't get hung up on it was this way this time and it was this way this time and I want to go back to this. It's never a recipe. MMA in any regard, weight cutting, the fight camp itself, the fight itself, it's not a recipe. It's chaos. It's like we talked about before. So in terms of like, do I like being in the spotlight? I will do it. It is part of the job because I'm ultimately looking for that flow state. So I will take whatever cons that in my head may come with it to get to that point. But if I can share the spotlight, I like to do that. So
Last one for you. A fun question we've been asking, and it's been going really good so far, is if you were front row and it's UFC 250, the biggest fight, your dream fight, and you're watching the fight, and you're sitting front row, and you got 2 seats open. You got a seat to your right, seat to your left, and you can bring any 2 people in the world. Who do you bring?
Oh, hands down, my husband.
Okay.
And then after that, I guess it would depend on who's fighting and who wants to be there. Jason's my ride or die, and then after that, it's I guess it would depend on who's fighting and who's invested in it and wants to see it. But I'm not super picky. You can come for if you want to.
Hey, I would love to come. The front row, UFC 250, I'm there. I would love that. Awesome. Emilee, we are huge fans of you. Cannot wait. Big fight. That's September 3rd. For VFC87, and hopefully we'll get green on the Tapology, and then I think one of these major big promotions will give you a call really soon. It seems like you're right there. Seems like female MMA is just flying, especially on the Bellators and PFLs are scooping a lot of girls up. So I would assume you would get a call later on this year.
Or if Icon has something later on this year, especially if it's overseas. I like to travel. Hit me up. I'm your girl.
Okay, I'll shoot him a text right now. I'll shoot him a text. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Later.